As I continue, it's a collection of biblical passages, commentary, and notes where he tries to show his voyage were part of God's plan. He believed his discoveries were tied to the spread Christianity, which is on the left hand side, as we know, because his aim was to spread Christianity when indeed he was being used to do what? Fulfill prophecy, according to the Deuteronomy 28, which he did fulfill prophecy by starting off the captivity, by bringing in slaves first, which were the indigenous people, and of course the continuation process took place. So he did fulfill prophecy, but he didn't realize he was fulfilling prophecy in the wrong manner, meaning going against the people. But let's continue. All right. The eventual restoration of Jerusalem, end time prophecy. Second Ezra, chapter 2. Second Ezra connection. You are correct that he used Second Ezra 39 verses 40 to 45. So before you're saying I didn't, I wasn't correct. Now you're saying I'm correct. Let's continue. I don't know why my ways are freaking screenshotting. There's always have this arrow down blocking the freaking screen, my guy. And how me trying to figure out, I'm probably seeing, the Lost Tribes, I believe. I hope that is what it is. Okay. That passage talks about people often interpreted as the lost tribes, right? Traveling to the distant land called Asra. So this would prove that he was looking for who? These same people. Even though he brings it up as an argument for his voyage, he was using it for, fine, these same people. Let's continue. Which we have right there. Right there. It says, Second Ezra connections, you are correct that he used Second Ezra chapter 39 verses 40 to 45. That passage talks about people often interpreted as the lost tribes traveling to the distant land and called Asrat. Columbus used this kind of scripture to argue the world had more land than people, though the indigenous lands he reached were reachable and significant. So he know it was reachable and he know who was there. His journey fit into prophetic wild and worldview. So, and as you continue, this is not me, by the way. Notice this is from ever since I post this. Then it became like this. So before you're saying that wrong, and now you're saying he did use it. But I was asking before to make sure and source the information. Make sure to source the information before you make an answer, ChatGPT. And they said they didn't find any. As soon as I pull up the Jewish encyclopedia and brought in Asara, they immediately, without a doubt, agreed 100%, my guy. Talk about biasness. And chat and Jewish encyclopedia is a very common site. Type in Jewish encyclopedia and it comes up first on the list. But yet, anyways, I'm going to complain. It's AI at the end of the day. Let's continue. It says, here's the part you need to tighten. This is where your argument can be challenged, which is very stupid because this part, to me, is still trying to see that they're trying to push back, but they can't push back on obvious implications by using verbatim statements when the information and the patterns are already very much clear as day. What Columbus did, use the scriptures including apocryphal ideas to justify his voyage, believed his mission had prophetic significance, connected geography with biblical interpretations, understanding that Asrat, which is called America, which is Asrat, as we know, correct, verbatim, clear, mention. This is the point. What Columbus did not explicitly write, he did not clearly state that the people I found are the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Do you need, if you are following, this is where common sense need to rule in. This is where you know ChatGPT isn't it. They could only provide a certain amount of information. This is why we always go back to the standard of doing what? Studying. Providing the standard, let me get it again, Isaiah 8 and 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. And this we make sure, this is why we study to show thyself approved. A workman need not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. They can't rightly divide. This is very clear after this statement that no matter what you ask ChatGPT, it is wise to also do your own research to find out more. The most they can help you with is pulling sources of information to back up what you are saying to be true. But this part made me thought that they were retarded. I ain't gonna lie. So let me get this point clear. In the Jewish Encyclopedia, it was made very clear that Christopher Columbus used this 4th Ezra chapter 39 verse 45, which goes back refers to 2nd Ezra 39 verses 45, 40 to when coming down, as a part to what? Locate and to locate, not just to justify his voyage, but also to locate, as mentioned. We just read it, and also identifies America to be Asrat, 100% clear. So if he used the book, which was very also cleared up in the beginning part of which we read, if he used the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 13 as a helpful location to the New World, which is the exact same location and patterns that the lost 10, my brain hurt, man, that the lost 10 tribes would have went to, and he bangs up people there that spoke Hebrew, would not that make these people the fucking lost 10 tribes of Israel? How could you still use this to disclaim something when it's already proven? My God, watch me. Who other people were in the land, Christopher Columbus, when he went to that? When he argued to go to that land to justify his voyage. Who? What other people were there? Besides the indigenous, which we call Native Americans today. Now the fake ones, the real ones that were there way back, pre-Christopher Columbus period. Not the ones that came in to try to get land, free land, and no, not that. The real ones. This is why it is important. My head at the man, it is important. I shouldn't even be operating so because I went. Anyways, it is important. This is why it's important to study. Because I show some fool, I have to say it. I'm going to read this part too and say, well, that dismiss everything. It's true, eh? He didn't say that it's not the lost 10 tribe, and remove the fact that everything that come up to it is real. He followed the patterns. Second Ezra, use the Bible to find the people, find them, and because it didn't say that these are the people, which when you look around, there were no other people, and according to other books, they informed they were informed by the same natives that they were Reuben, and they were I believe is Reuben here, and Joseph was in the islands of the islands, of course. It was very much clear mention. This is why the other parts of the scriptures came up as to give the historical points, even though ChatGPT was being biased. That's the purpose of this. So even in their receiving information, they still try to be biased. It is impossible to say, because he didn't say they are not the lost 10 tribes of Israel, that they are not. If he followed the pattern and reached to them, and they were the only people that inhabited the land of America, of Asrat, according to scripture and law and testimony at that point in time. And they were heavily there. The lost 10 tribes were separated. Of course, they are living in separate regions, of course. To everyone that you would have bounced up, most likely would have been of the lost 10 tribes, which spoke Hebrew, which wrote in Hebrew, because the New Mexico lost lunar stone had the ancient Paleo Hebrew, which was passed down from Shem, or Noah coming down to Shem, or all the way back up until this time, which they wrote on the stone pre-Columbus period. So this claim, this here, this right here, I'm gonna big it up. This right below here is utter foolishness at this point. Everything connects. It is an undeniable fact, number one, that the lost and the indigenous people that were found in the land of America are the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Because when you keep going, look at this. There's more. It says, what can you say? Strong version. They're trying to make me now rephrase what I'm saying. No, but it still says here, Columbus believed he was fulfilling biblical prophecies, including ideas connected to Second Esdras and restoration of Israel. His worldview allowed for the possibility that the land he reached could be connected to the dispersed peoples. Later claims attempt to link this archaeological and linguistic evidence. So like, I'm gonna pause. No interruptions. Who calling me now? Alright, so I go back into it. Alright. Read that his worldview allowed for the possibility that the land he reached could be connected to the dispersed peoples. Later claimed attempts to link this with the archaeological and linguistic evidence in the Americas. That's accurate and defensive, which it did happen, by the way. Which these people didn't have to be linked because they already proven to be hit the people. But again, straight answer. You are correct that Columbus used Second Esdras and prophecy to justify his voyage. Now let's go back to what it says. This is how you know ChatGPT tried to reach. They tried to reach a little bit with this question when this was the ultimatum that they brought forward before I provided. As it says again, if Columbus knew this, he would be looking for. Who would he be looking for? Okay. If, and this is important, if Christopher Columbus was influenced by the passage, then logically he would be looking for the lost 10 tribes, a people who came from the east, migrated across the waters, settled into a distant unknown land, which is known as Aserat. A place where never mankind dwelt. Definition of Aserat, unknown. Simple. And it goes on, the path of your reasoning is internally consistent. It's accurate, in other words. They want to say that, but they know it. Let's be real, because this, come on. But yeah, boy, my goodness, sometimes I might be off a ChatGPT for a while after this. Yeah. But who knows? If the information provides, it is what it is. So, as I continue to say, you are correct that Columbus used Second Esdras and prophecy to justify his voyage. He saw his mission as spiritual and prophetic, not just exploration. Right? So as you continue, it gives a whole insight now, a whole insight about Israelite dispersion's America's framework, right? Which heavily connects to America. It's biblical, right? Biblical foundation scattering of Israel started, which like the precept itself before we did read Second Esdras already, so we could just go Deuteronomy and Hosea, of course. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. It says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. even wood and stone. And did Christopher Columbus not confirm that these people were also worshiping idols, even though they had the Hebrew, which was corrupted, they had the actual writings, which was indeed heavily connected to the ancient Hebrew, not to mention the Shammai, but many of them are still on the what? Unbelieving side and still worship after idols is a prophecy. No. They could either be led away into heathens, which as mentioned, or they can go away into another island and do the same thing, which the judgment is not going to pass. Because scripture says what? Precept is pursue thee. Right? Okay. Going back into the same precept, pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be sure. You know what I'm looking at. So if I can't find it, but I know it's there. I believe it's verse 16. Let me get to the point. All right, look right here. Salah. It says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. In other words, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because at the end of the day, what is written is going to come to pass. There's no way we can go to run away from the judgments of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, because he made it very clear. You can't run from it, no, you can't hide, you can't defend yourself from it. And run is a form of defense, for those who don't know. It says, see now that I am he, and there is no power with me. It says, I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. So if you think running is going to remove your judgment from being received, it's not. So let's continue to the next one.